Hey, how you doing, guys? Right, this is the Dulce de Leche cheesecake recipe. We're going to do the baking of it now, and then we're going to do a little bit of finish on it tomorrow when we have our little dinner. So, first things first, make sure your oven is on at 180 degrees. Get that, sorry, 160 degrees if it's a fan oven, 180 if it's just a regular oven. So yeah, get that preheating, and then we're going to make a start. So first things first, I've got my mould here. It's about probably 20 centimetre mould or something like that. This little bad boy, what we want to do is line the bottom of it. So what I've done over here is I've put the bottom on a piece of parchment, nice and simple. Just draw around it, so that we get a nicely fitting bottom, and it helps if the pen actually works when you're doing it. Draw around so you get a nice bottom to it, and then we're just going to cut around this, nice and simple. Might be slightly tedious to watch. Once we're around there, place that in. Happy days. Now we're going to make the base. So the recipe for the base is really simple. It's 100 grams of chocolate digestive biscuits and 25 grams of butter. Simple 1:4 ratio on it. Nice and easy. If you've got a fancy little baby Kenwood mixer, you can use that bad boy, but you can stick it into a bag and just crush it if you want, or you can do it in a big food mixer, or pretty much anything you want to. Like these 25 grams of our butter. Tiny bit too much there, and then we're just going to melt this in the microwave. While that's melting, we'll get these bad boys crushed up. Good there. Just a few more seconds on that. Try and get this lump out of here. This is probably an insultingly simple part to show you how to do, but hey, some people may not have done these things before, so it's all good. So we're going to get that really well mixed in. Right, so we want it to look like it wants to come out of the thing. Come on, you bastard. This is fun, isn't it? Come on. There we go. So it looks kind of like that, like wet breadcrumbs. We're going to take that, pour it straight in. Get all the bits off the side of this. And then we're going to even it out on the bottom of our mould, our cake tin. Also with this, guys, the best thing to have is a cake tin with a pop out bottom, because if not it can be quite awkward to get this out. To get it nice and even along the bottom. It will be quite a thin layer, so it's a little bit fiddly to get it evened out. But just persevere with it, it doesn't take too long. And then there we go, nice and even in the bottom. There's a couple of little lumps in it, but that's not going to hurt. Right, this bad boy is going to take 10 minutes in the oven. So in there, set a quick 10-minute timer. Right, while that's going, we're going to quickly knock together the rest of it. This is pretty simple. It is pretty much an all-in-one. Mix it. The main thing you don't want to do is whip the bollocks out of it, because then you will end up aerating it, so you'll get little air bubbles in it, and then when you bake it, it'll just souffle up and it'll be almost like scrambled egg cake, which ain't too nice. So first ingredient into this is going to be the cream cheese. So it's quite a lot of cream cheese. This is a very creamy, cheesy, lovely, yummy, super duper cake. It's also going to make a fairly decent amount of it, so that's good. I've actually gone a little bit under what it says in the recipe. Because they come in 340 gram tubs, and the little bit extra is not going to hurt, or the little bit less is not going to hurt even. So that bad boy in there. Right, next up is our carnation. This bad boy, carnation caramel, is really, really good stuff. Spread it on top of digestive biscuits, it's the shit. So yeah, we're going to get a bit of this in there. Look at it. Oh, caramel goodness. You can actually make this stuff yourself by boiling a can of carnation evaporated milk in water. Just drop it in there, leave it for about 3 hours, kind of simmering away. Just keep on topping up the water in it, and it makes this stuff really, really nice. So 150 grams. Always drip the spoon. Right, 150 grams there. What's next? A little bit of vanilla extract, I need to grab that in a second. 75 grams of caster sugar. I'm actually using granulated, that's all we have at home, but that's absolutely fine. You're baking it so it'll melt in nicely. There you go, 75 grams of caster sugar. And And we're going to put in 1 tablespoon of plain flour. That's a teaspoon. There we go, 1 tablespoon's worth of plain flour. Nice and easy. Simplest thing in the world now. We're just going to mix this all together. Quickly just get the vanilla in there. So it's just about half a teaspoon of the vanilla. So you look, we're going to try and get all the lumps out of this. So make sure you scratch it up right from the bottom. Get all the way around the outside of the bowl. It will look at this point a little bit like butterscotch Angel Delight, which is just happiness. Right, once we think that's all nicely mixed in, we're going to get our 2 eggs and crack those bad boys into it. And we're going to just nicely mix those into it. Again, try to do this with like a rubber spatula or something instead of a whisk, because you don't want to risk getting too much air into it, because that will not be good. Okay, so now we've got our nice, super smooth cheesecake mix without any air bubbles in it. Got about 4 minutes left on the old base. So, could probably make a cup of tea. Always a good idea. Quickly open a drink. Do something, but it really is this simple. Those are mixed together, everything else is mixed together. You're going to take the rest of this bad boy and put it to one side in the fridge so that you've got it for the garnish tomorrow. And yeah, I'll be back in about 4 minutes to go through everything that's going on with the base. Hey, how you doing, guys? Right, so we have taken our base out of the oven here and let it cool down for 5-6 minutes. Actually, it was a bit longer than that because Becky decided to come in and make a cup of coffee, so I had to wait for her to get out of the way because she's making a noise. So yeah, so this is nice and cooled down now. We've got our filling ready there. Important, you now turn your oven down to 120 if it's a fan, 140 if it's a regular oven. So 120 degrees. That way we don't end up making a souffle, because again, any air that's in this, get it too hot too quickly before it sets, it just goes and blows up. So we're going to quickly, just with a little bit of kitchen roll, because this is fairly cool now, well, it's nice and cool now, it's going to need a bit of greasing. Obviously you can't do this when it's red hot. We're just going to grease around the outside. There we go. Simple as. And we're going to take this, again, make sure it's all nicely stirred in, there's no lumps or anything. If you use one like this, you can rub it against the bottom to get the lumps out. So it's always useful to have a nice little rubber spatula. So take this, pour it in nice and evenly. There we go. Right. Just tap it down slightly. It doesn't really need it, but it will help pop any bubbles that come up on the top as well. And then this bad boy goes in the oven. Nice and simple. Stick it in there. Set yourself a 30 minutes timer. Right, so we're set there for 30 minutes, and then I will be back in a little bit just to go through the last little step of what we're going to do. See you in a minute. Okay, so we are now done. It's taken about an hour in the oven, so it took a little bit longer than expected. Basically, just go back after your timer goes off, you give it a little bit of a wobble, and what you want it to be like is here. So if I shake it now, I can see there's a tiny bit of wobble in the middle, but it's nicely set. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this, we're going to put it back in the oven, turn the oven off, leave the door slightly open, and then you can let that sit overnight, because it will not go off. It will be absolutely fine, same as you'd see a cheesecake sat out in a restaurant. So that can just sit there, and we should all be good. And then the next morning, take it out of the tin, I would, and put it on a plate and get it into the oven. But that's it. So hopefully everything's good, and we'll see you a little bit later. Or, well, sorry, we'll see you tomorrow night. Okay.